Boldwood presents The Meet Cute Method. Written by Portia MacIntosh and read by Karen Cass. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Boldwood. Chapter 1. I've seen some seriously weird things on my way to work over the years. It's to be expected, I suppose, given that my office is based in Soho, smack bang between Oxford Circus and Piccadilly Circus. Very apt names because, with the sights I'm used to seeing, a circus feels like the right place for them. I've been caught in the literal crossfire when activists were launching red paint bombs at the HQ of a fashion retailer across the street. I saw a woman use a flash mob to dump her cheating boyfriend. I even saw a woman giving birth on the tube, which is a sight I won't forget in a hurry, but is still also probably not the strangest thing I've seen on the underground. But of all the weird, sick and twisted things I've seen in the 9 years, my God, has it been 9 years, I've been living and working in the city, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this.
I'm sorry, I think that might be my skinny cinnamon vanilla decaf latte,
the man says. He's a 20-something with a double shot of the Hugh Grants. He's just reached for a coffee at the same time as a young red-headed woman. Now they're both holding it between them, a hand each on the cup, as they stare into one another's eyes. I don't know how to describe it. There's just something between them, an immediate connection. "You drink a skinny cinnamon vanilla decaf latte?" the woman asks in disbelief. "Frankie," the barista calls out, letting me know that my latte macchiato is ready. Normally I'd grab it and get on my way, but honestly, I'm gripped. "I do," the man replies. He uses his free hand to run it through his hair while he briefly glances down at the floor, embarrassed. "I know, it's a bit weird, but that's exactly what I drink," she tells him. "I need the vanilla to take the edge off the cinnamon and the decaf."
"To take the edge off the coffee," the man continues.
"Wow, we're already finishing each other's
coffee,"
the man jokes, finishing her sentence again. The woman giggles. I need to get to work, I really do, but I can't take my eyes off them. I'm hoping today is the day at work, the day I'm finally, officially made head of my department at Stylife magazine. It's a formality, in a way. I'm already acting head of love and dating since my boss went off on maternity leave and never came back, and they decided that I'd been doing her job just fine while she was off. Jane, the editor at Stylife, finally took me to one side last week and told me that with my 10-year anniversary coming up, she was going to make my promotion official and give me that all-important pay rise I've been fantasizing about. Of course, for all this to happen, I need to actually get to work, but I can't look away. You see, despite being the main features writer of all things love and dating, I am kind of a cynic when it comes to love. I know that sounds awful. It would be like finding out Ed Sheeran didn't believe in love. On a much smaller scale, obviously. The magazine and website may be the most popular amongst women between the ages of 20 and 40, but I doubt my features have the same size audience as Ed's music. I wasn't always like this. In fact, I used to love this job. But I'm 34 now, and I don't know if it's because my job has been so focused on telling people how to find love, but I've either been too busy to find it myself, or I've seen too much. Deep diving into all things dating has shown me the man behind the curtain, and he is not a catch. He usually has a girlfriend and a penchant for taking pictures of his penis that nobody asked for. Perhaps that's why I'm so captivated by the scene in the coffee shop this morning. This couple, with the exact same weird drink order, not just finishing each other's sentences, but finishing each other's jokes too. It's the perfect romantic scene, like something from a movie. And I'm not the only one who has noticed. Everyone in this coffee shop has their eyes on them. I have to see how this plays out.
"I'm Mark."
"My dad is called Mark," she replies, her smile growing. "I'm Erin."
"My cat is called Erin," Mark tells her giddily.
"Really?" she squeaks, her eyes lighting up even more than they were already.
"No, not really,"
he says, with an awkward but still charming smile.
"I just didn't want to end our streak of amazing coincidences. To be honest, I'm more of a dog person.
Me too, Erin replies, surely maxing out her enthusiasm. Mark's face falls straight for a moment.
God, you're beautiful when you smile, he tells her. If I could wake up to that smile every day, I'd be the happiest man in the world.
Bloody hell, that's a bit intense. Erin is still smiling, though. I would have run a mile from a line like that. I'm supposed to be on my way to work, she says through a giggle. Me and you both, girl.
Me too, Mark replies, but what if we don't go?
Erin laughs again.
I'm serious, he tells her. Something about this just feels so right. Let's just get on a plane and go somewhere.
I hold my breath as I wait for her reaction.
You're right, she tells him.
There's something between us. I know it. I feel it. Okay, forget work. Let's go. Mark grabs Erin and kisses her, and as their lips finally meet, everyone in the cafe starts to applaud. Finding myself caught up in it all, I can't help but clap too. I can feel my frosty heart thawing out a little, and it's nothing to do with the coffee that I'm letting go cold in my hand. I'm absolutely captivated. This is like something from a movie. Mark and Erin stop kissing, hold hands, turn to their applauding audience, and take a bow. Okay, that's weird. Thank you so much, Erin announces to the room.
Yes, thank you, Mark continues. And if you enjoyed our performance today, then be sure to check out the screening of our movie, Love and Stuff Like It, over at the Old Picture Place Cinema across the street, starting Tuesday.
Okay, it was literally a movie. Bloody hell! I'm so annoyed I could crush my coffee cup in my hand. I feel like I've been scammed. The one day I absolutely want to be at work on time, and I've let myself fall for a performance like this. And I let my coffee go cold too. Brilliant. I take a few swigs before tossing the cup in the cafe bin and heading outside to catch my bus, dashing to the bus stop just in time to see it pulling away. Marvellous. I'm definitely going to be late for work now. I gently lean against the convenience shop window behind me. I can't believe I let myself get suckered into an act. Honestly, I feel dirty. My attention is captured by a woman and a man colliding in front of me. His coffee cup crumples between them, spilling coffee all over them both. Now this really is like something out of a movie. It's very Notting Hill, although the fallout is more in keeping with what I'm used to seeing on my way to work. He shouts at her, telling her she owes him a coffee. She starts screaming back at him, telling him he owes her a new blouse. Their arguing is only broken by the commotion across the road. Another couple in an embrace. And nope, he's stealing her handbag. Of course he is. Ugh, I say under my breath, although I feel an almost smug satisfaction that my faith in humanity has been, well, whatever the opposite of restored is.
It's mad out here today, huh?
A man with a Scottish accent says. I turn to face him. He's talking to me. It's mad out here every day, I reply with a smile.
I've never really been over this way, he says, although I haven't been here that long and sometimes it feels like all I do is work.
Even if it weren't for his accent, you can tell he isn't a Londoner. He's too friendly, too chatty. There's an understanding among commuters that you let people get on with what they're doing, leaving them to travel to and from work in peace. No one wants to chat on public transport or when they're waiting for it, although I have to admit he's a good-looking guy. He reminds me of Prince Harry, just a bit, but, you know, a Scottish version who gets the bus.
Do you like to hang around bus stops? He asks.
Only when I'm getting buses, I point out. What a bizarre question. The stranger smiles curiously.
I thought you'd have more of an accent,
he tells me. I raise my eyebrows. Really? I just sound like any other 30-something Londoner. What is he expecting? Dick Van Dyke? Nope, this is it, I say with a shrug and a polite smile.
I'm not complaining, he insists. You have a lovely voice. So, where are we going?
Where are we going? I repeat back to him.
I was thinking coffee first, he says. We can have a chat, get to know each other, then maybe a museum?
I can't help but laugh. Is this man asking me out? Me, here at this bus stop? After the morning I've had, I refuse to believe it.
Sorry, is that sad? He replies. Well, we can do whatever you want to do then. What do you think?
I think I need to get to work, but wow, he really does seem keen. Ordinarily, I'd run a mile, but is that my problem? Do I never give people a chance? My instincts are telling me to tell him to piss off and leave me to wait for my bus in peace, but... Sean? A petite Irish woman asks. The first thing I notice is that she's carrying the exact same bright pink Michael Kors handbag as I am. The man, Sean I'm assuming, looks at her, then at me, then at her again.
Saoirse,
he says to her. Yeah, she replies. Sean turns to me.
I'm so sorry, he says. I've made a terrible mistake. I'm new in town, so a friend said he'd set me up with someone else who was new in town, and all he said was that she'd be outside this shop with a bright pink bag, and...
I don't know who is more embarrassed, me or him. Actually, I do. It's me. It's absolutely me. Of course he wasn't asking me out. He thought I was someone else. Why did I even consider, for a second, that I was having some kind of moment? It's that bloody scene from the cafe this morning. It's got romance in my head. I suppose it's a good thing, given my job, and my bus is here now, and I've never been so motivated to get on it. No worries, I tell him. I need to get to work.
Nice to almost meet you, he calls after me.
Yep, I say as I hurry on board. I find a seat and slump down into it. At least when I finally get to work, things will turn around for me. My promotion is imminent, and I've got a pitch for a series of articles that my editor is going to love, where I basically adopt a different personality type on each dating app and see which one gets me the furthest. I really need to hurry up and get there now, but it's true, you never know what you're going to see on your way to work on a morning. I just can't believe today of all days was the day I let it make me late. Chapter 2. I work in a large building nicknamed the Cactus. I'm unsure if it was intentionally modelled on a cactus or not, but it does look like one, thanks to its rounded shape and its green window frames. I like that it's different from all the other blocky buildings that sit alongside it. I do love this part of London. That's why I'm so excited about the idea of moving here. Well, that and the commute. Currently, it takes me about an hour to get to work, an hour that consists of a bus, a tube, and a couple of fast walks. Don't get me wrong, I know there are people with much longer commutes, but that doesn't make mine any easier. The apartment I viewed last night was in Soho, which not only means I can get to work in minutes, but it's so gorgeous, really. So modern, so sleek, and, most importantly, all mine. Well, I'll be renting it, obviously, and it's small, but I won't be sharing it with anyone like I am now. It's not that I don't like living with other people. It's just that I live with 4 other people. There's a bit of a student house vibe, just with the sheer volume and mixture of people living there, which is fine some of the time, but I'm supposed to be a young professional, although I rarely feel like both of those things at the same time. Still, living in Soho is the dream, so I'm trying to make it happen. It finally seems on the horizon, as I'm due a promotion at work, which comes with a nice pay bump, a bump that means I'll be able to finally get my own swanky place. I'm hoping the pay increase might help me to feel a bit better about my job too, the fact that I'm really not enjoying it anymore. Well, it's hard to write about all things love and dating when no one outside your family loves you and you haven't dated anyone in ages. It's just such a demoralising time to be playing the dating game, and given that I'm expected to write all about it too, it forces you to overanalyze everything. Plus, everything is so tech-driven these days. It's all apps and algorithms, and while I do prefer to be ghosted on an app than stood up in person, I don't enjoy inputting data into programs that tell me how lovable I am. But that's the job, doing all of these things in the name of finding love, writing about how it plays out. I still try to keep an optimistic tone to my work, No one would want to read it if I didn't. But for me, finding love is just work. It's not something I'm actively looking for, it's just all part of the day job. I do realise how depressing that sounds, but trust me, no matter how much you enjoy doing something, as soon as it's work, it sucks all the fun out. They say if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I disagree. I sometimes wonder if I did find someone and then settled down with them, whether or not I could even do my job anymore. And I like to think that perhaps for that reason I self-sabotage all my relationships for the good of my career. But it's not true. I'm a jaded old cynic. And at just 34 years old, too. Today, I'm an extremely late jaded old cynic. I scan my pass to get through the barriers in the lobby, and as I make my way towards the lifts, I notice that one of them is on the ground floor, the doors just about to close. I do that painfully awkward fast walk, the kind you see so often in this country, that is more a sign of intent than an actual increase in speed. Sure enough, it does its job. One of the men in the lift sees me hurrying towards them and quickly presses the button to open the doors again. "Thank you," I say, as I practically dive through them, not unlike a shattered marathon runner charging past the finish line. Although clearly in much worse shape because all I have done is hurry from the bus stop to here. As the doors close behind me, I breathe a huge sigh of relief. I could almost be convinced to smile, were it not for the fact that only a few seconds later, the lift grinds to a premature halt. I feel my eyes widen as I look to my lift mates. There are two of them, the one who held the door for me, and another guy who quickly takes a leadership role.
"Hello?"
he says as he pushes the alarm button. "Hello?" Nothing. He glances at his friend, then at me.
"Oi!"
he tries again.
"Some of us have got actual work to do."
The Cactus is home to Medi Worldwide, the big bad company which owns Stylife magazine, along with a handful of other news outlets and a rolling news channel. This building is home to Yum Things, the food magazine, as well as Byte Banter, a popular tech website. Somehow I can tell, just by looking at these two guys, that they are from the tech website. They must be. The guy angrily mashing at the emergency button is wearing a plaid shirt. It doesn't get any more tech than that, does it? They both have a sort of cool vibe about them, which sounds vague, but it's a genuine coolness that can't really be defined. Like the coolest boys at school. They get the girls, get the attention, get away with murder. If only they could get this lift going.
"A different approach might be better,"
the man who held the lift for me suggests. He looks more stylish than his friend, in a soft white shirt and jeans. He's got a pair of sunglasses hooked on his shirt, where his top two buttons are undone. He looks like he should be on the deck of a party yacht somewhere off the Amalfi Coast, not heading into the office on a baking hot July day. And definitely not trapped in a lift.
"What do you mean, a different approach?"
his friend asks.
"Well, a nicer one,"
he teases with a smile.
"Oh yeah, go on then," he replies. "Let's see if they pay attention to someone who looks like a young Paul Rudd."
"Surely that's just a Paul Rudd," I say, clearly having nothing to offer but a joke in this trying time. They both stare at me. Because, he's always looked the same age. I explained the joke, not that I think they didn't get it. I'm sure we can all agree Paul Rudd hasn't aged a day in his life. I just don't think they were expecting me to say anything. The Paul Rudd look-alike smiles. He does kind of look like him, with his short dark hair and his friendly yet cheeky smile. He's clearly younger than I know Paul Rudd to be, though. He looks about my age. His friend is maybe a little older, also with dark hair, but his short, overly neat beard gives them a bit of a good cop, bad cop vibe. Paul, the only thing I can think to call him to distinguish between the two, steps forward, turns up his smile a few notches, leans into the keypad camera and pushes the button. He holds his smile as he waits patiently. Still no one replies. Why, oh why, does stuff like this only happen at the worst possible times? Not that there's ever a good time to be stuck in a lift, but today of all days, when I'm late for work and when the Monday morning editorial meeting always takes place, which I am most certainly going to be walking into the middle of, if I even make it at all.
Well, there you go, the first man says with an amused smugness. Nice guys really do finish last.
Right on cue, the lift starts moving again, and it's Paul who gets to smile.
I definitely did that,
Paul says.
Oh yeah, of course you did,
his friend replies. The lift stops on their floor first, the bite banter floor, as I predicted. The first man hurries out, but Paul flashes me that grin of his first, an acknowledgement of what we just went through together, and a goodbye too, after the longest, what was probably only 4 minutes of my life. It does cross my mind to get out while I can and take the stairs the rest of the way, but the doors are closed again before I can act on it. It's probably for the best, because I can't even imagine the state I'd be in after dragging my unfit arse up a few flights of stairs. It's hard to celebrate, although it is totally appreciated when the lift finally arrives on the Stylife floor, and I have to make the dash of a girl who is so very clearly very late through reception, down the hallway, and into the conference room where we have our editorial meetings. I burst through the doors, and I don't just mean that in the way people usually do when they're late. I mean that I quite literally, but entirely accidentally, go at them a little too hard, pushing the double doors wide open, banging them on the side tables inside the conference room. I am not surprised to see everyone staring at me, but I am surprised to see a person who is not my editor leading the meeting. "Oh," I blurt, unintentionally. "Oh, indeed," she repeats back to me. Suddenly I don't feel like I'm at work. I feel like I'm back at school, being chewed out by an angry teacher in front of a class full of kids who would all be going, "Ooh," like they knew I was in trouble if they weren't too scared to open their mouths. I remember being in year 9, starting a new school, and not being able to find my humanities classroom for the first time. I flagged a teacher down, asked her for directions, and she told me it was on the corridor adjacent to the one we were standing on. I was 13 and had no idea what an adjacent corridor was, so I was late. A whole 7 minutes late, and Ms. White gave me one hell of a precedent-setting dressing down in front of everyone. The look on her face was the same look as the one on the woman standing in front of me, except it isn't Ms. White, who in hindsight was small and squeaky and not all that scary. It's someone who looks like Gwyneth Paltrow's 40-something sister, only a version who takes herself far more seriously. She stands up in her place. She must be 5'10", which means she towers not only above everyone sitting around her, but at 5'5" myself, I definitely feel like a kid again. "You're our late one, I take it," she says. "Yes, sorry, I'm Frankie George, the love and dating writer," I admit, because for some reason it comes out like an admission rather than a fact. "Oh, wonderful," she says, in no way trying to mask her sarcasm. "It's a wonder we were getting by without you." "I'm so sorry I'm late," I say as I sheepishly take my usual seat next to my friend Cora. She subtly widens her eyes at me. Something is going on. I encountered so many delays on my way to work. I missed my bus, saw someone get mugged, I was mistaken for someone else, and then to top it all off, the lift broke down. "A quick word of advice," the new woman starts as she takes her seat again. "If you're going to make an excuse for your lateness, pick one and stick with it. It will be an easier sell. Now, for those of you who are new to the room," me then, "my name is Addison Anderson, the new editor of Stylife magazine and website, and I'm here to shake things up. I'm going to be bringing new people in, getting rid of some of the dead wood. You are very much going to have to sing for your supper, so what better way to show me your worth than in this editorial meeting? Or so you would think. So far, I am so unimpressed." I force a nervous dry swallow, which only makes my throat feel tighter. A new editor? What about Jane? My former editor, I suppose, but she was the one who was promoting me, and while I'm hesitant to say money is everything, that pay rise is everything to me. It's my key to a new apartment where I can live on my own, like a real adult, Not squashed into a tired old place with 4 housemates on the other side of the river to where my life is. I need this job. Now it sounds like things are up in the air. Next up, Emma, beauty, what have you got for me? Addison asks. Okay, so... Emma starts, her confidence slowly building with each word. I was thinking eyebrows, the evolution of the brow, the thin, the thick, HD, laminated, basically a timeline of all the trends, maybe a fun look at what might be next. Emma's confidence builds to a point before it starts to quickly fade. I've just met Addison, so I don't know how to read her yet, but she doesn't look impressed. Perhaps that's just her face? Trash, Addison says simply. I tell you what you're going to do. You're going to write me a piece on botched cosmetic procedures, the kind everyone and their bestie is getting. Fillers, Botox. If you want to throw eyebrows in, go ahead. Perhaps some microblade horror stories. But I do want them to be horror stories. I want gory pictures. I want readers who don't want to look but can't look away. I'm sorry, are we here to eat breakfast? Or are we here to try to justify our jobs and hopefully put out something worth reading? Addison switches from destroying Emma's idea to calling out Lauren from travel for having the audacity to eat the croissant on the table in front of her. Fuck. This is bad. This is so bad. You think you can handle that, Emma? Addison asks her, getting back on track. Emma nods. Right. Finally, Addison continues. Frankie, love and dating, department of 1. I'm supposed to work out if we're hiring above or below you, so go on. Dazzle me. But it better not be the usual, the online dating bore. I went on Matcher and only matched with people who reminded me of my dad, or 10 ways to tell if you're a Tinder tease, or some equally dull, depressing, demoralising drivel. Wow. I look down at my notepad and blink a few times. My first idea, Matcher Maker, involves swapping phones with a friend and working the dating apps on behalf of one another to see if we're better at selling our friends than ourselves. My other ideas are all similar. Of course they are. That's all I've been allowed to write since online and app dating became so big. What else is there to talk about? People don't meet people like they used to, not without tech, and my trip to work this morning only proved that to me. Oh, nothing like that, I insist, as I rummage around in my brain for an idea I shelved years ago, or something, anything. The events of this morning buzz around my head like an annoying fly. Come on, Frankie, we're all on the edge of our seats. Addison presses me. I'm starting to think her sarcastic nature is her most obvious characteristic. So the dating app things have been done to death. I start, basically saying what she said, and she's frowning at me like I'm stating the obvious, but I just need to buy myself some time to think of an idea. People don't meet like they used to, right? Well, that got me thinking, how did people used to meet before they had apps? And the answer is, meet cutes. Addison cocks her head. What's meet cutes? Lauren asks. I notice she's managed to eat her croissant while Addison has been distracted. You know, in TV shows and movies, when 2 love interests meet for the first time, that's a meet cute. It's a popular rom-com trope. Think Notting Hill, when Hugh Grant literally bumps into Julia Roberts and spills a drink down her. Or in What Happens in Vegas, where Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher accidentally check into the same hotel room, I explain. For the first time, Addison displays something that resembles interest. Go on, she prompts me. What I'm thinking, I start, and yes, I am making this up as I go along, is that I could take a bunch of these classic meet cutes and try to put myself in those positions to see if it helps trigger a romantic connection. No apps, no websites, just real people out in the real world in real situations. Real in that they're in real life. Obviously, there'll be set-up scenarios. My pitch doesn't finish as strong as it started, but cut me some slack, I am making this up on the spot. An idea that doesn't suck, Addison says simply. There's hope for us yet. Suddenly it feels like summer is over before it's even begun. Ordinarily, it would take more than a frosty reception from an ice-cold new boss to bring about climate change, but it's more than that. Summers in this office are usually a delight. The heat outside is kept at bay by a combination of good air conditioning and ice cream runs. The beautiful weather and long days keep everyone smiling, and for those weeks while the sun is out, you'd be surprised how many afternoons are cut short to go and sit in beer gardens. Now it's seeming like it's going to be a season of stress, of proving our worth, of fighting for our jobs. I sigh heavily as I make my way back to my desk. Everyone disperses in silence and slinks back in a similar manner. Considering the fact I was late, it's a miracle that I somehow came out of that meeting on top. Well, sort of on top. I don't know, she didn't tell me that my idea was trash or scream at me for eating a pastry, but it's hard to consider it a win. Especially because now, when it comes to this big idea Addison loves so much, I'm going to have to come up with the damn thing and hope it works. I can kiss goodbye to my new apartment if I don't. Chapter 3. Addison Andrews is going to be a massive pain in my arse, I can already tell. It sounds like she is bad news for everyone here too. Our office space is all open plan, apart from the conference rooms and, of course, Addison's office. When Jane was in charge, the door to that office was almost always kept open. Jane would close it if she needed to take a call, so we all kind of knew not to bother her when it was closed, but when it was open, we would wander in and out and she would pop out for a chat or to take our Friday afternoon ice cream orders. It was nice and relaxed, a genuinely wonderful environment to work in. Addison's office door is closed, but Addison isn't behind it. Instead, what she has opted to do, to get a feel for how we work, is wander around our desks like an exam invigilator, watching us, breathing down our necks. I feel like she's looking for us doing something, anything wrong, so that she can yell at us. So when she has briefly stepped into her office to make a call, or popped to the break room, or wandered off for any reason, that's when we jump at the chance to talk about her. I don't know if all of what people are saying is true, or if it's like that game we used to play as kids, where you would sit in a circle and whisper things to the person next to you, except it would change as the game went on and become something completely different by the end of the game. Information about Addison that has reached my ears so far includes all the different publications she's edited, rock stars she has dated, and people she has fired. One thing that is crystal clear is that it's sort of Addison's thing that she takes up a job as editor, cleans house, hires new people, generally shakes things up, and then leaves. Ultimately, she leaves the publication in better shape than she found it, but not without leaving a pile of casualties in her wake, and considering the fact that one of the bits of info to hit my desk earlier today was that Addison fired her own cousin at one newspaper she worked at, no one is safe, are they? My friend Cora, who writes for the home section, sits at the desk facing mine. It's been a long morning and we're bursting to talk, but we make do with exchanging glances, rolling our eyes, biting lips, scrunching noses. When you're friends with someone for a long time, you develop these ways of communicating without exchanging a single word. "I'm going out to get a coffee," Addison announces. "I'll be back shortly." She disappears out of the door next to us. Cora and I give her a couple of safety minutes to make sure she's gone before we both start talking at the same time. I pause to let her go first. "Oh my God, what a nightmare," Cora says. "What the hell has happened to Jane?" "I messaged her," I reply. "They've sacked her. Poor sales and hits on the decline, apparently. They didn't even want her to work her notice. They just asked her not to come back. I can't believe it." "I've been working on some new pitches, but now I feel like all my ideas are crap. You missed me pitching. It was not pretty." The look on Cora's face tells me everything I need to know. I love Cora. We started working here around the same time, so we initially bonded over our newbie status. But then we realised we had everything in common, including our birthday. You would think we were twins, were it not for the fact we look nothing alike. Cora is so stylish. Her long dark brown hair is so straight and so neat it almost doesn't resemble the texture of hair anymore. I, on the other hand, have my long hair with a dark root, mostly blonde lengths, but with a few little flashes of purple, and I usually wear it wavy to hide the fact that years of peroxide and heated styling tools have left it a little frizzy. Cora has really good cheekbones. I assume I must have cheekbones, given that I have a face, but there's no sign of them. I have more of a round face, which I try to fix with contouring and highlighting. I like my makeup to be bold, to make a statement. I know that Cora wears a ton of makeup. I've watched her get ready for nights out enough times now, but I'm sure you'll know what I mean when I say that you can't actually see any of it on her face. How about I help you with your pitches if you help me with mine? What I need is ideas for these meet cutes, I tell her. I have a few ideas, Addison says, appearing from I have no idea where. We both jump out of our skin. Addison, hi, I say, trying not to sound like she's just caught me out, but I feel like she has. I'm not even sure what she's caught me out with, but still, that's the level of intense authority I'm getting from her. Didn't you just say you were going to get a coffee? Cora says bravely. Addison bats her hand before pulling up a desk chair to sit next to us. An old management trick, she tells us proudly. Pretend to leave the room and see what the workforce are saying about you when they think you're not listening. I heard you talking about your piece. It's a very exciting concept. I'm not sure it's been done before. I've looked over your work here, and I've certainly never seen you do anything like this. I saw lots of millennial bullshit, although I do admire the savagery of some of your work. That time you only matched with people who you thought were unattractive. Addison cackles as she slaps her thigh. I start, but she doesn't let me finish. Absolutely savage, she says again. In my defence, that isn't strictly the concept of that article. What I did was only match with people I wasn't instantly attracted to based on their pictures alone. Of course, it turned out that was just most of the men on Matcha, because I've always found it hard to fancy someone based on nothing more than their appearance, and they were all the same usual dating app kind of weirdo/arsehole anyway. Thanks, I say anyway. I'm actually really excited about this, she says. You, Cara, was it? Cora, she politely corrects her. Cora, maybe take a bit of time off writing about your candles or whatever and help us devise some meet cutes. Oh, I've got loads of ideas, don't worry, I insist. It's not that I don't want Cora's help. We always bounce our ideas off one another. It's more the case that I don't want Addison here breathing down my neck while I try to pretend that I know what I'm doing. It sounds like fun, Addison insists. So, let's talk rom-coms. Maybe if we start with our favourites? Cora suggests. That's a great idea, Addison replies. I can see Cora's relief to have said something right, to have impressed the new boss in even just a small way. Mine is Pretty Woman. I stare at her for a second, but she's not kidding. Oh, okay, I say. Well, to be honest, if I can avoid prostitution, I would prefer it. What about What Happens in Vegas? Cora suggests. Yes, absolutely. Send the two of us to Vegas, I'm begging you. We could maybe do a local version or something similar-ish, Addison says thoughtfully. Maybe you could just hang around at a hotel bar and wait for a man to pick you up. I'm not sure the tone of that is all that meet cute, Cora chimes in, getting picked up. I'm sure it would work, I offer politely, but yes, the tone is still a bit Pretty Woman, possibly. OK, Sleepless in Seattle, maybe a tourist destination, Addison continues. You could ask a man to take you up the Shard? Well, that would definitely work, I joke cheekily. I'll have a think about it, Addison says thoughtfully. I really will go and get that coffee, or find someone to go get it for me, I suppose, but you keep working on this. We'll have a strategy meeting tomorrow, see what we each come up with overnight. I really appreciate your help, I lie, but I've got loads of ideas. I'll get to them right away. I might even try one tonight. Also a lie. Strategy meeting tomorrow, she says, ignoring me. I watch her walk away this time, waiting until she's clearly out of earshot before I open my mouth again. Wow, she's hands-on, I whisper. I hate it, Cora admits. She loves your idea, though. Look at her, she clearly wants to be involved. What are you going to try tonight? Honestly, I have no idea, I confess. I was just trying to get her off my back, to get her to leave me to it. Ah, she replies with a sympathetic chuckle. Well, you might want to think of something, or Addison will be thinking of stuff for you. Cough, Pretty Woman. Cough. I slump back into my desk chair. She's right. God knows what Addison is going to have lined up for me if I don't come up with something myself. I'll work on it tonight, come up with some sort of plan of attack. I didn't exactly think this through, given the fact that I came up with it on the spot, with the new office dragon breathing down my neck, but I'm starting to realise this idea isn't going to be as easy as I'd hoped. I have to pull it off, though, somehow. My promotion, and therefore my new flat, depends on it. Chapter 4. I don't hate any of my flatmates. Hate is a very strong word. I don't exactly get on with all of them, or all of their partners, but nothing is bad enough with any individual that I would use the H word. I do, however, hate that there are 4 of them. 4 flatmates, each with their own partner who often stays the night. There's always at least one extra person here. I know it sounds like I'm bitter because I am the only single one, but it's not that. The 5 of us live in a 5-bed ground floor maisonette. I feel like the landlord calls it a maisonette, and we do for the exact same reason, because it sounds better than calling it a flat. But it is a ground floor flat. The only reason you can call it a maisonette is basically, I think, because it has a front door rather than a communal entrance. It's hardly worthy of a special name, especially because it has a real student digs vibe about it. It's old and tired. We have 2 bathrooms between the 5 or sometimes 9 of us, one with a shower and one with a bath, except the bath has silverfish, so no one ever uses it. The mouldy grouting alone was enough to put me off having a dip, never mind a bug infestation. I was lucky enough, if that's not too strong a term for something so bleak, that my designated toilet is the one in the other bathroom. I don't like the idea of sitting in the bug bathroom for even a minute. Other than our bedrooms, the only space we have is an L-shaped living, kitchen, dining space. Initially, an open-plan space seemed like a great idea, but that one room seems pretty small when enough of us are in it. There's a 3-seater sofa, a dining table pushed up to the wall with 4 chairs, and a U-shaped kitchen. When you've got 2 people trying to cook in the kitchen, 2 watching TV, and 1 sitting at the table, and that's without any partners in the mix, you can't move, you can't hear, you can't think straight. I can't face it, spending time in the cramped living room or my tiny bedroom with only the bug-infested bath to escape to. It's summer at the moment, which makes things slightly easier. We have a little private paved area just outside a patio door off the living room. It's only small, with a tired material canopy pulled over a mismatched arrangement of furniture. Some of it, like the faux leather chair from an old 3-piece suite, definitely indoor furniture. Which means that on lovely evenings like tonight, the living room extends into the garden.
We just need to think of genre tropes,
Travis suggests helpfully as he swigs a bottle of cider. I know you're not supposed to have a favourite flatmate, but Travis Carter is mine. He's an assistant director, most recently working on popular fantasy show Bragadon Forest, one of the only shows we can all agree to get together and watch as a household. He, like me, is also saving up to find somewhere better to live, so he gets it. He's also, lucky for me, one of the best people to talk to about my latest project because genre theory was his thing when he was at uni. Okay, hit me, I say. I pull my legs up onto the plastic garden chair I'm sitting on.
First love is an easy one,
he suggests. I'm nipping that one in the bud, I reply quickly. I'd need to be pretty desperate before I'd call up an ex-boyfriend for anything, never mind under the pretense of wanting to get something going again.
Got it, he replies. This one should be easy. Coitus ensues.
He wiggles his eyebrows. Huh, I cackle. Yes, sure, okay, I'll hit up the long line of men wanting to shag me. What does that mean? Lila asks, returning with a cider before plonking herself down on the arm of the faux leather chair Travis is sitting on. Lila Richardson is Travis's girlfriend. They met on set where she was playing a peripheral fairy. That's an extra to you and me.
It's how we got together,
he tells her through a cheeky smile. What, banging in a caravan because we were bored waiting for my scene? She replies with a scoff.
Yup, he confirms. It's when 2 people wind up having sex.
Oh, she says with a shrug. Cool. I can't help but laugh. Obviously, I'm not doing that one, I say before taking a sad swig from my drink. Chance would be a fine thing. What about enemies to lovers? Travis says. Anyone who hates your guts?
Sasha is in the kitchen, complaining to Marcus and his boyfriend about how you left purple hair dye in the shower.
Lila tells me, lowering her voice.
She said she would have killed you if it had stained. She said she'd be getting her $3,000 deposit back from you one way or another.
What an excessively violent overreaction, I say, not all that fussed by it. That's Sasha through and through. Hilariously, it was her fault I had to abandon rinsing my hair to go and let the maintenance man in. No one else was answering the door, so I assumed she wasn't in until I got back to the bathroom and found her standing there with a face almost as purple as the shower floor. I was annoyed at her for not answering the door. She was mad at me for the state of the bathroom, which rinsed away instantly, might I add. But that's just Sasha. There's no love lost between us. I overhear her complaining to Reese, her boring boyfriend, all the time. Marcus and his boyfriend Alan will be loving it. Marcus is always complaining about anyone who is messier than him, and he is an extreme neat freak. It doesn't bother me, it just motivates me to move ASAP. But no enemies that I know of, I say. No pending will they, won't they? He continues. No pending anything, I reply. Wow, I thought we were brainstorming, not analysing the state of my non-existent love life. No unresolved sexual tension? With anyone but me, obviously. Possibly Lila too, he jokes. I think it's supposed to make me feel better, but it just makes things seem all the more tragic. Sadly not, I reply sarcastically. I mean, it's true, but I'm styling it out. Okay, well, let's go for something a bit vaguer, he says.